So you learn to play guitar for real. And at what point in all of this did you say, I'm going to make music my career?
Uh, I don't. I think the music really chose me. I don't think I chose the music. I didn't really think about it. It was just, you know, that's what I do. That's what I'm good at. That's what I want to do. And of course, I was rather good at school. I was intelligent, and my mother wanted me to go to the university, but that was no option. That was totally no option. I mean, music was the thing, but I didn't think it was possible. That's such a dream. Your first dream is to be in a band. Okay, suddenly you are in a band, and then your second dream is like to play live with this band, and suddenly you are playing live with it, and your next dream is make an album because nowadays everyone can make an album, but those days it was maybe 1% of the bands, that could really make an album. So I could make an album. And then your next step is like to go on tour with the band. And so, yeah, I've been through all of that during the 80s and the 90s, touring for 15 years. Um, so I was lucky, really. If I wouldn't have had that, I joined a professional band when I was 20. I would have had to work, but I never worked an honest day in my life. It's terrible. Maybe a few of these stupid little jobs, but no, when I was 20, I left home and I started touring.
So you had time in both Bodine and Vengeance
Yeah,
where
good.
where you really honed your craft. I won't stay here for long, but are there any songs, licks, musical ideas from those years that have stuck with you?
Thing is, I had to do concessions. You are in a band. The drummer likes AC/DC, and the guitar player likes Iron Maiden, and the singer likes Judas Priest. And, so I had to write songs and please everyone. I had to please the members in the band. I had to please the record company. I had to please the fans, and just hoping I would figure out what people wanted. Um, so that was a shame, I couldn't really 100% be myself or make the music I wanted to make. So
Let's move on to some of your early solo records. You've spoken candidly about the doubts you had during that time. Did you ever worry you wouldn't achieve the sound you were chasing, that people just wouldn't like get what you were making, or was it, or did that not matter at all? Was it because, like you said earlier, you wanted to kind of pursue what your vision was, right?
at some point, I didn't think I was good enough. Um, because, we made a stupid song with Vengeance, Rock and Roll Shower. Uh, I saw a beautiful blonde and a pretty brunette. Come on, girls, let's get wet. And people loved it.
Sounds like Kiss lyrics.
I know. People loved it. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And I wanted keyboards and I wanted, by that time you had Rainbow and you had Stargazer, with all the classical stuff. And that's what I wanted. Um, but I didn't think I couldn't find people who liked it, and the band didn't want it, and so at some point when the band lost their contract in the 90s, like the 80s rock, the hair metal stuff was totally out, which is good, which is good. Um, so at that point, I made my first solo album, which totally flopped. It was weird. It had country songs on it. I was totally lost. I was like, what do people want? I don't know. I don't know. So at some point, it was like, "Oh, come on, man, forget what people want. Let's do my own thing." And people will hate it. I'm gonna, like you say, you recognize so many styles in my music. I'm gonna take them all, of course, the rock and the metal and the prog, but also folk and classical music and electronic music and acoustic music. All that stuff, I'm gonna put it in. And I'm gonna make like a rock opera, like which was not done in the days of grunge. You were crazy. It was Pearl Jam and Nirvana. Um, And I thought, let's just make this album for myself. And that did the trick. There were a lot of people, invisible people, who no one knew about, who were waiting for something like that because it hadn't been done, since Queensryche. So yeah, to everyone's surprise, including my own, that first Arion album started slowly climbing the charts, and it was really did not expect that.
But when you started Arion, did it feel like a risk to you? I mean, was that part of the appeal? I mean, that first record didn't really explain who or what Arion was. You just kind of,
No,
but you just kind of put it out there to sink or swim, right?
right, but it wasn't, the project wasn't even called Arion. It was basically a solo album. It was Arjen Anthony Lucassen, and Arion was the main character in on the album. So basically, it would be like the Who and Tommy, But then the label, I think I got a deal with the Japanese label. That's how it all started, JVC. And they said, "What is it? Is it a solo album, or is it Arion, or is the project Arion?" And I was like, I don't know, you do whatever you want, promote it any way you want it. And they promoted it like that, like the project Arion, which is good because that worked for me in the end.
Yeah, it did. And but now, by the time you were making actual fantasy and into the Electric Castle, I believe you've said you were kind of at a point where if that third album didn't succeed, it could have been the end. Was there a moment during the making of Electric Castle where you felt, wow, this is special. Something really great is happening here?
I always think that with all my albums. Otherwise, I wouldn't release them, But often you're wrong, I probably even thought that with my stupid little country songs, the Midnight Train. It was terrible. But even then, I thought it. So I've always had that feeling. But yeah, my second album, Actual Fantasy, which was not a rock opera, which did not have all these big guests, didn't do well. It sold less than the first one. So like you say, the third album was sink or swim. It could have been the end of Arion. So I really had to put everything I had in it. So that means big name guests like Fish, like Anna van Giersberg, like Thijs van Leer, Focus. And I kind of knew, like, okay, this is special. But I still remember the record company didn't hear it. They were like, I don't know. Let's not praise this too much when we promote it. And I was like, what? Didn't make sense at all. I was like, be like arrogant like hell. This is all or nothing,
One of the most iconic aspects of your work is the narrative complexity. To me, your albums don't just tell stories; they kind of build whole universes, if I may. Do you see yourself more as a composer or a storyteller, or are those inseparable for you?
Well, I have to say, I always start with the music. I still think the music is more important. I would never start with a concept, because then I would limit myself musically. So it's always, I got all these little ideas recorded on my phone, or in those days on my cassette player. Put it in the computer, listen to it, and then a story would develop. I would see images when I would listen to the music. And I think, as I said earlier, that the concept and the lyrics and stuff adds an extra dimension to the music. But it's still the music that's the most important. If the music isn't good, then it won't work.
So you mentioned how you kind of keep track of some of these varying ideas. When you sit down to write, do you have any specific like non-musical rituals or habits that kind of help you tap into your creative flow?
I wish I wish there was a trick, or I wish because I have my black hole periods every time I finish an album, especially an Arion album. I'm anti, and I work on that for 2 years, put everything I have in it. And it's always like, okay, the well is empty now. There's nothing left. This is it. And I always roll out. So I've got a little bit of confidence now. But yeah, I always have to go through that terrible black hole period. And I'm basically in that period too now, because I just finished my solo album. And no, I haven't got a trick. It's just take it easy, do promotion, and grab that guitar every day and hope that something comes up, because something comes up every day. But the real thing is, how do you recognize that good song? And I think that separates the professionals from the amateurs. If you don't know what's good, then you will never get there. So that's the whole trick. What's good, what isn't good. And I'm lucky that I feel that, when I have an idea, like, okay, this is good, I can build on this. This is the foundation of my next album.
You said you had some albums that are I don't want to say disconnected, but different genres, different things that aren't necessarily themes. And then you have albums that definitely have a kind of a central theme throughout. Do you feel that your music is trying, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, trying to answer a question, maybe either one big question or perhaps several recurring questions? Or is it not, or does it have nothing to do with any of that?
I think the questions are always there. It's not really spiritual questions for me. I'm a science man, I'm really, really interested in science. And there are a lot of big questions there, which definitely I'm trying to answer in my music. I can't answer, of course, I'm not a scientist. But, if I look at my stories, I can't say like, yeah, this book or this film was the basis for this. But I do know ever since I was a kid in the 60s and I saw Star Trek, the original series, of course, with Spock and Kirk, I was sold, it was science fiction for me. But yeah, more science. I always try to take science and turn it into fiction. For instance, I have an example. The asteroid that destroyed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. I mean, that's a science fact. So I try to turn it into fiction. Like, what if some alien race fired that asteroid at the Earth to make place for humans to, that kind of stuff.